So my name is Shazia Khan, and the unit we're going to be doing today is Unit 6, Personal and Professional Development in Health and Social Care. And the learning outcome we're doing today is looking at learning outcome 2, which is to understand professional development in health and social care. So I'll give you a recap of what we did in the last learning outcome, which was learning outcome 1. We looked at understanding career and progression opportunities in health and social care. We looked at the career areas in health and social care, the roles and responsibilities in health and social care. We looked at progression opportunities as well, how you can progress with regards to any sort of training and qualifications you need, and skills as well. We looked at what personal development is and what professional development was. And we also looked at what CPD is. Can anyone tell me what CPD is? If you remember from yesterday's session. What CPD? Anyone? Addy? Addy, what CPD? Anyone else? Osama? Irene?
I think it's continuous personal development.
Osama, what's CPD? Okay, continuous professional development, okay? And what is it? What does it entail, Osama?
It's the ability to continue to update yourself on new innovations about your profession.
Excellent, excellent. So you're developing yourself, isn't it? To make yourself, better, but also to keep up to date with any sort of training or, any sort of new changes to the law, anything like that. So CPD is it a really important part of your employment then?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's continuous professional development, so continuously learning. We looked at reflective practice and we looked at the cycle in regards to teaching, self-assessing, considering and practice. Then we looked at 1.1 in learning outcome 1, which was to outline careers and job roles in health and social care. We looked at direct care roles, things like activities worker, care worker, rehabilitation worker, shared lives career carer, advocacy worker. Then we looked at management roles, like a team leader or maybe like a deputy manager. We then went on to look at other care roles, such as an employment advisor, volunteer coordinator, housing officer to help anyone who is maybe ill and is trying to get independent, housing officer. We then went on to look at regulated professions. Now, these are professions that require qualification and require maybe like an undergraduate degree or a diploma, and that's things like social work, registered nurse, counsellor, complementary therapist. These require a professional body that they work under. We also looked at ancillary roles in learning outcome 1, which was like things like housekeeper, driver, cook, chef. And then we went on to look at the progression for 1.2, explain progression within a chosen health and social care career area, registered manager, social worker, nurse. We then went on to analyze the skills. So we looked at empathy, flexibility, team player, communication skills. And then we went on to look at things like, active listening skills. Does anyone remember why active listening skills are so important within health and social care?
Active listening skill is important, so you'll be able to understand what the person you're caring for or whoever is your audience wants.
Yeah, so is it really important, Osama, to listen to the individual and be able to, kind of be in their space as well, and understand what they're talking about? Because it could be patience, couldn't it? It could be active listening could be you listening to a doctor giving you instructions. So it could be anything. So it's really important skill. So that was learning outcome 1, quite briefly in that. Has anyone got any questions of what we did in the last session? So we'll carry on with learning outcome 2 now, which is to understand professional development in health and social care, what the need is for professional development, why there's a need for it, and why we as an organisation, we as employers, if you think about it, need professional development. So the indicative content for learning outcome 2 is to look at the membership of professional bodies, standards and codes of practice, and continue professional development and what it is and what's required. Why do you think it's so important that we are part of a professional body? For example, if you're a nurse, why do you think it's so important to be part of a professional body? Does that professional body tell you what is right and what is wrong? Dalton, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say it's for you, it's a guideline.
Yes.
For you to know what you are meant to do.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And it's a good guideline, isn't it? Because if you go over the barriers or over your professional boundaries, you are doing something wrong, aren't you then?
Yes, yes, it is.
So these boundaries that are put in place are really good for people to kind of, keep to them boundaries. For example, I'll give you a good one, which is a big one in teaching as well, to not have a relationship with your students. Another one for counsellors is to have that boundary in place where you don't have any contact with them, and just at the session you have. So these boundaries that are put in place are there to help individuals try to, focus on their job and not go across and breach these boundaries. So Dotun, you're right, having these standards and rules in place are a good thing. Okay, so the key terminology is, what is professional development? Again, personal and professional development helps you manage your own learning and your growth. You as an individual, need to be able to look at your professional and your personal development and continue to, continue to grow, because, it helps you. I mean, I'm just going to ask, if there are any courses, do you actually say, does any of you actually say you want to attend them if they're optional? There's no requirement. Would you say you would attend them courses to get that on your CV?
Please say that again.
In your workplace, if there are any courses available and you don't have to attend them, but you want to get an extra qualification, would you do that to improve your development?
Of course,
yes.
Yeah, I would as well. I would attend courses, even if it's not compulsory. I would attend these courses to improve my learning, and put it on your CV.
Yes.
I love education, and I think it's really important to have a good CV if you're going out to get a good job. And I think it could be basic things as, communication skills training or anything like that, that would help you, gain that growth into your career change. Did anyone actually do the survey on NHS website about the jobs? Did anyone go on to it? Anyone? No? Have a look in your own time before the next session and look at the survey and what kind of careers are available and what the results are. And we can go through them in the next session then.
Okay.
So 2.1, identify standards related to the professional development in health and social care. So the professional development in health and social care is, it promotes health, okay? It promotes the element of, trying to look at the safety and well-being of, patients, service users. It could be anyone within that care. And the whole point is it looks at promoting that safety. And it is a regulatory body that looks at working in health and social care. And there's legislation and standards that they have to follow. So they look at treating everyone with respect, you know, creating this environment that is compassionate and fair, and, you know, acting honestly and with integrity as well. And they've got legislation and standards that they must adhere to. Why is it important to have laws in place that they must adhere to? Each organisation will follow legislation, and that is law passed by Parliament. And if they breach that, are they breaching the law?
Yes, if they
Yes.
they breach the law.
Yes, they will breach that, okay? And the whole point of it is trying to keep consistent within the law and trying to promote this well-being and safety of your patients. So the Professional Standards Authority is there to promote that. And they've got, they make up, you know, certain practices that are in place, and there's certain laws that are in place. Why do you think laws are passed? What do you think the whole point of a law is? Why do you think it's passed? Why do you think it's so important to have laws in place?
So people don't go out of line
Yes.
to do what in
So
order.
people don't go out of line. Give me an example of something within the health and care profession where someone has gone out of line or done something that, you know, has breached the law. Just a quick example of something that happened.
Just like in my place of work,
Okay.
we've been told that you cannot accept monetary gifts from a
Yes.
client. So I have to keep to that law in order not to go out of line.
But is that a law or is that a policy in
So
your
it's a
place?
company policy.
Yes, it's a policy. A law could be, for example, I'll give you another example. What if a doctor is negligent? He's doing an operation and he's negligent. He leaves a bit of swab or something inside the person's body and then doesn't have a look at that. That is negligent. That is breaching the law. Okay,
Yeah.
there's laws in place there that say you must, you know, not be negligent. And if that's his duty of care is to his patient, and if he doesn't provide that duty of care and he's negligent by maybe doing an operation wrong or something like that, then he's breaching the law. So laws are in place to protect both the individual and the actual doctor themselves. So the first one we've got is the Care Standards Act, and this act is an act of Parliament of the UK, which provides for the administration of a variety of care institutions, including things like, you know, the children's homes, independent hospitals, nursing homes, and residential care homes as well. And the whole point of the Act was to regulate and ensure that agencies provide were competent in their duty of care, like I mentioned. And to develop a level of playing field for service users. So, you know, inspections are done, and it is there to regulate things. And the main principles of it is to look at privacy, dignity, and safety. Why do you think this act was introduced? Do you think people were being supported properly in nursing homes and things? So when a law is introduced, a law is introduced because there's a need for the law. Okay. So because vulnerable people are in nursing homes, and there's been some cases where vulnerable people have been elderly adults have been abused within the sector, and laws need to be brought into place. Why do you think the laws need to be brought into place and more inspections done?
It's to avoid reoccurrence if there's been any,
Yes,
and also to protect
yes.
both parties.
Avoid any sort of cases going to the courts, avoid any sort of reoccurrence of this happening, and to say that there's laws in place that look at the safety of individuals.
Yeah.
So
And
under the
also,
Act,
and also penalty for those that also
yes, yeah.
commit
I mean,
suicide.
there's been lots of cases in the newspaper where, you know, people have abused elderly people.
Yeah.
in nursing homes, and the abuse is quite bad where they've actually died from the abuse.
Yeah.
So, laws need to be put in place to protect them elderly people, to be honest. Under the Act, it's regulated and some care standards. Only agencies that provide personal care need to be registered under the Care Standards Act, and the Act introduced independent regulatory body for social care, known as the National Care Standards. The Act also introduced national minimum care standards and standards regulating staffing levels. The Act also established a general ethical code, a council for England and Council for Wales. The regulations introduced a qualification framework. The council would register social care workers, regulate the training of training workers, and domiciliary care agencies all need to be registered, and adult placement services will be registered. Why do you think there's so much saying that there's so much inspection and so much regulation? Why do you think everything has to be regulated?
Because there are so many bodies involved, and
Yes.
they all need to be put in check.
Yeah, and there could be, like you said, was that Osama? It could be things like, for example, like in a care home where you've got children. There's been incidents, you must have heard of Baby P, Sky, where the social workers didn't really look into it, and the new girl, is it Salma Sharif, the little girl who passed away, who died, her parents killed her. There was not much input from social workers. And that's why, social workers need to be registered, and the bodies could hold them liable. Because if you're not keeping on top of things and you're not, doing your job properly, then you are liable for that.
Yes.
So the next one is domiciliary care regulations. And these elements of domiciliary care regulations are dealing with things like agencies as well, things like mandatory agencies that deal with elements of, they're split into two categories: live-in carer who are registered, and the home care. Is there a lot of home care agencies out there now?
Yes, there's a whole lot.
So does the law have to look at them in more detail, protect people more?
Yes, of course.
Why do you think that more protection is needed for private, these private care homes or home care?
Because they're employing people. They need to be sure the people they are
Yes,
employing have gained the training, necessary
yes,
training, they're
yes.
professional.
And whether they have this, they have the qualifications.
Yes,
Because some organizations are just, taking on people that have no qualifications,
yes,
and they're private organizations and they're being shut down because they are not safe.
yes.
So, these organizations need to be inspected and looked at, and the domiciliary care regulations deals with that, 2002. Then we've got Health and Safety at Work Act. Why is health and safety so important?
So protects both the patients and even the carer from
Yes.
potential harm.
The whole purpose of this act is to protect people, not just the ones that are working, but patients and everyone from risks of any health and safety arising from the activities of the person's work. So what could anyone mention a health and safety example you can give me? What's health and safety?
There is protection for use of equipment.
Use of equipment, yeah.
There should be protection.
Should you have training on that?
Yes, very
Yes,
important.
you should have training on that. What about the use of medication as well? Making
Yes,
sure that it's locked up safely as well.
yes, and giving the right medication.
Yes. Making sure that you are taking reasonable care, not just of your own health and safety, but as well as others. It could be patients, it could be doctors, it could be other nurses, providing this safe working practice, making
Yes,
sure that everything is safe for them people, and providing adequate first aid facilities if anything happens. And making
yes,
sure, things like medication, like you mentioned, is stored properly. you know, stored away from, you know, nobody could touch it. Like if there's children around or any sort of elements of that, make sure you are, you know, as an employee, you have put everything in place. All the health and safety checks are put in place because you are there to protect them and making sure that the working environment, because it's a legal requirement, it's a law. So, you know, you need to make sure that you have all sorts of, you know, protection in place, because if you breach the law, you know, it's a serious breach of health and safety.
Yeah.
It could be, you know, the whole point of it is, you know, where an employer fails to ensure the safety of their workers, you know, and their patients. So you need to make sure you've got risk assessment in place, and you need to make sure you need to identify who's responsible for the health and safety as well.
Yeah.
The next one is manual handling operations, and this is quite a big one within the health and social care setting as well, because manual handling is to do with what is manual handling to do with? What is manual handling? What is it to do with? What is it holding? Is it picking things up?
It's
Take patients, move
Sorry, what's
patients
that?
around.
Jambu,
We
what
use
is
that to
that?
move patients. Yeah, we use that to move patients around
Yeah.
from bed to chair and maybe
Yeah,
to the
any sort of
toilet.
like, you know, make sure that employers are safe, you know, avoid hazardous, you know, hazardous substances, or, you know, making sure that you are handling things properly. You know, to make the employer needs to make sure that they are, you know, that everything is safe. Because if you don't handle something properly and you pick something up as an employee and you hurt your back, are you, have you been are the manual handling operation regulations been put in place if
Yes.
you hurt your back?
No.
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 So you need to, you know, look at things like lifting objects, how you lift boxes up, pushing or pulling trolleys, and especially in health and social care, you're pushing sometimes wheelchairs, aren't you? With
yeah.
patients in it.
Yeah.
So, you know, pushing them properly, making sure that you are not, carrying anything that's too heavy, that's gonna, hurt your back, you know, and then you also work with medication. So hazardous manual handling, how you handle, you know, certain medication, how you try to avoid any sort of hazardous manual handling in regards to any risk to employees. You know, the big one is the most common injury. What do you think the most common injury is? I'll give you a bit of a idea so you've got a bit of an idea. What do you think the most common manual handling injury is in the UK every year?
I think the most common is back pain.
Yes, excellent, excellent. That was really good. Yeah, back pain. Back pain. Why do you think it's back pain?
Because you have a lot of bending down and picking
Yes.
stops and
And do you
taking
think
stops.
people do it all the time? Do you think people do it properly?
No.
No, we don't. I mean, to be honest, I don't really see how I bend down, you know, and I don't think anyone else does as well all the time. You know, it's not something if you're doing something quite quick, you don't really look at how you're bending down or how it's going to affect you. But back pain is one of the most common manual handling injuries. And there's hundreds and thousands of employees that suffer from it each year. And it could be extreme, you know, it could be sciatica, it could cause extreme pain, which you're unable to work, and people will go off sick, and that's chronic injuries. And that is the most common one so you're right, the most common one is back pain. And that's because of lifting, you know, that could be caused even lifting patients up, couldn't it? If you
Yeah.
lift patients, you know, you should know if you're hoisting patients or anything like that, you should know how to do it and how to lift people up properly.
Yeah.
I mean, just on a scale, just to think about it, do you all take in account how you lift things up? I don't. I will be honest with you. I wouldn't think about manual handling in my job. Do you lot think about manual handling?
Yeah, for me, I do.
Yes, good. Because it affect your whole work process, wouldn't it? You won't be allowed to work because if you've
Yeah.
got chronic pain, yeah. So, I mean, some people don't. Some people, really take it into account because it affects their livelihood. So we've got the Management of Health and Safety at Work regulations, and they are explaining that an employer must identify the risks that employees, contractors, and members of public may face and take steps to control to mitigate those risks through a formal risk assessment process. Why do you think it's so important to have a risk assessment process in place?
I think it's important to have risk assessment in place so you can assess the potential risks that is
Yes.
likely to happen during work.
Yeah. It could be the potential risk. It could be the fact that, training needs to be given, to employers. And, you need to make sure that you protect your employers. So you need to look at the risks that are in place and how to prevent them risks. So risk assessment is also an element that is required for most organizations to take into account. Mental Capacity Act. This is a really important act when it comes to its primary purpose is to provide a legal framework for acting and making decisions on behalf of adults who lack the capacity to make particular decisions for themselves. So, anyone that can't, make a decision for themselves, who could make the decision for them if they lack capacity? Could it be family members? Could it be their spouse? Could it be the husband or wife?
Yeah, family members can
Yeah.
make for
So it
themselves.
gives the person, the Mental Capacity Act gives the person the ability to make decisions that may have legal consequences for them and for others affected by the decisions. What kind of decision, give me an example of mental capacity.
Example of mental capacity that I know is
Yeah.
some people they can't decide what to eat.
Okay.
Yeah, and some people they can't decide what to wear and where
Yeah.
to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So even could it be someone who has learning disabilities but is unable to, look after their body, and make decisions? Could that be someone with mental capacity?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
okay.
So yeah, someone who's unable to, make decisions, what they wear, what they eat, what they, each day, and that will help them, so someone in place to help them make decisions, because not everyone has the mental capacity. Then we've got the next one, code of practice, and a code of practice can be a document, that provide detailed practical guidance that you need to comply with, legal obligation that you need to comply with these codes of practice. You as an individual must comply with the code of practice, and the codes of practice are there to help people. And it could be things like, the fact that, all employers will follow safe practices and safety rules in the workplace, so why do you think codes of practices are important? It could be elements of, the fact that we need codes of practice in place because they are there to set out the standards for conduct, and it also is part of legislation and policies that are in place and procedures that individuals must follow, and in an organization there are policies and rules and regulations you must follow as an individual. 6 main codes of practices within health and social care, which are the first one: as a social worker, you must protect the rights and promote the interests of service users and carers. As a social worker, you must strive to establish and maintain the trust and confidence of service users and carers. Why do you think that's important to have the trust and confidence of service users? Why do you think that's so important?
It's important because the person will be able to to communicate, to be able to
Yes.
tell you about their fears and every other thing.
Yes. So, they're able to trust you and have this confidence in you and able to, talk to you honestly, and, they're able to tell you their issues. As a social care worker, you must promote the independence of service users while protecting them as far as possible from danger or harm. And as a social care worker, you must respect the rights of service users while seeking to ensure their behaviour does not harm themselves or others. And then number 5 is, as a social worker, you must uphold public trust and confidence in social care. And then finally, as a social worker, you must be accountable for the quality of your work and take responsibility for maintaining and improving the knowledge and skills. What do you think it means when it talks about accountability?
What it means when they talk about accountability is for you to be able to account of what happened
Yes.
and what is going to happen. Yeah.
So what if you do something wrong? Should you be accountable for that?
Yes.
Yes. You should be accountable for that. You should be the one who is, accountable for what is, because you are responsible for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so you should take accountability. And it's really important, sometimes people don't like to take accountability, but, if you've done something wrong, you should take accountability for it. So the next one is national occupational standards. And, national occupational standards is an element of, that looks at professional standards within within the UK. And they look at the element of describing the knowledge, skills, and understanding individual needs to be competent at a job. And it looks at the performance of individuals, how they must achieve that. So it describes the skills, knowledge, and understanding needed to take out a particular job. And it recognizes the level of competence, and they focus on the person's needs to be able to do this, as well as to understand how they will work effectively. So its element of it is within the health and social care is that, it looks at defining the roles of the staff, what the staff should be doing, staff recruitment, training, CPD, and staff planning, and making sure that there's maintaining this high quality social care service within the NHS. So 2.2, has anyone got any questions before we carry on? No? 2.2, assess the need for continuing professional development in health and social care. So when we look at CPD, why is it so important within health and social care? So, it's important as it has an impact on the quality of services and care you provide to service users. You need to learn new skills to improve your performance and the ability to provide high care standards. You need to, as an individual, develop your continuous professional development, because it gives you new opportunities. And, your personal and professional development helps you maintain your own learning and your own growth. And continually learning is really important in any, organization or within any a job role. You need to make sure that you are continuously learning. You are continuously keeping up to date. If you keep up to date, you're going to know the changes in the industry, improving your skills, improving your knowledge, improving outcomes for individuals, creating career opportunities, and keeping up to date. And especially within health and social care, why do you think it's so important to keep up to date with the laws and legislations that are being put in place, and policies and standards? Why do you think it's so important?
I think it's important because I think law changes over time, and they tend to change a lot of things, and things tend to get better.
Yes.
So that is why what I think it had to change, because technology is moving from this to that. So
So for example, if something happens within society, for example, a case of neglect from social services, would new laws come into place to restrict, this happening again?
Yes.
Yes. Laws will come into place where, social workers are left accountable for what they've done, or if they've not done something properly, or if they've not documented something. Laws will come into place to try and protect this happening again. So if an innocent child has been killed or has died through the incompetence of social workers, maybe, then laws will come into place to do that. Is that a good thing to have? I think it's excellent that laws are there to come into place when something
Yes.
goes wrong. But do you think things should go wrong anyway?
No.
Yes, that's the whole point of it. Things should not be going wrong anywhere. And there should be competent people out there, especially if they're under a professional body. So some examples of CPD, it could be things like reading and reviewing any sort of publications, any sort of new changes, attending workshops and conferencing, understanding research, distant learning and webinars, mandatory training, relevant to your nurse's specialty, taking part in clinical audits, college or university level education, maybe a degree or something like that, practice visits to different environments, shadowing, secondments, structured clinical supervision, peer reviews, coaching or mentoring. It might be, attending lectures, maintaining specialist skills, giving presentations maybe at a conference. There are different examples of CPD. CPD can be a wide range of things, which will include, you taking part in the training, you getting involved, seminars. It could be, panel group meetings. It could be anything that would help you try to develop your skills. So CPD in health and social care. CPD is really important within health and social care, okay? And it is to ensure that all the workers, develop and maintain necessary knowledge and skills and attributes to practice effectively and work towards improving the health of the population. So why do you think CPD is so important in healthcare profession? Why do you think people need to attend CPD or attend training or have some sort of CPD to help them within health and social care?
I think it's important for the CPA because it helps everybody to be on guard and keeps everybody up to date on what training, what disease, like what
Yes.
procedure is best for one or two things that is being done.
Yes. But what does it help you have, if you have CPD in place and you attend training courses or you read or you mentor, does it help the quality of the care that you provide to service users?
Yeah, it does because
Yeah.
it helps you to know more and treat the customers more better and
Yeah.
like a more smarter way to do things. So it increases your output.
Yeah, and it also gives you the ability to provide a high quality standard of care to, service users. And it also, it's an investment for you, isn't it? If you think about it, doing any sort
Yeah.
of training or CPD, it's an investment for you in the future. I always tell people if you have the chance to do any sort of education or if you have the chance to do any sort of training, get into it, do it. Because, it'll improve your, your professional development, but also it's an investment in your future. They want you to help you invest and give you a variety of skills so that you can improve. And maybe, it may be that you may want to, go up, get promoted, things like that. So it's really important for you to do it. And especially within the healthcare and social care, because there's loads of changes that go around.
Yeah. And when opportunities come, you're already prepared to take it.
Yes. When opportunities come, you're already prepared. Yes, that's a big one. People need to be prepared, and some people think that, doing training is not good, but, you as an individual, if you want to go further and there are opportunities that come up in place, go for it. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, and you are up to date with everything. And remember, organizations like people that know about the organization and that have done training and have done CPD and able to, prepare themselves for, greater responsibility if it's going up further.
Yeah.
So the benefits of CPD. Why do you think CPD is important? So, it helps you expand your knowledge base. You as an individual will be able to expand your knowledge base. And it can, it gives you new ideas. Your knowledge is increased, your expertise in that element is increased, and you're able to identify your gaps as well. If you are not doing any CPD, and other people in your organizations are doing the CPD, you need to be able to say, I want to do some training, I want to do this training, or can you put me forward for this training to expand your knowledge? Because you're working in that field, especially in the health and social care field, where, you need to, you need to make sure that you are learning more and you are becoming aware of certain things and, researching. Researching is really important, and if you are up to date and you have greater skills, it will boost your confidence if you're able to answer a question that others cannot. So getting CPD, getting training in place will help you solidify your knowledge, but also, increase your expertise in that area, make better decisions, and think about your future aspirations as well, and your career, for, whether you want to go further in your career as well. So it really helps. 2M1, so this is the merit one. Assessing the continuing professional development requirements for a chosen health and social care field. And, previously all professional social workers have to be registered under the Health and Care Professionals Council, HCPC. But that has now been taken over by Social Work UK. And they remain to be the main ones that register social workers, and having that professional body in place will, I think sometimes, having professional bodies in place, do you think it scares people that they are under a professional body?
Say that again.
Do you think it frightens people a little bit that they're under a professional body?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to regulate them,
Yeah.
and they are going to be conscious of, because I'm under a
Excellent. Yeah.
regulatory body, I cannot do this. They have to do it the way it
Yes,
should be
yes,
done.
yes. Yeah, because when regulatory bodies are put in place, people, like you said, will be conscious of what they're doing. They'll be a bit reluctant to do this. So they will say, oh, should I do this, or how should I do this, or should I do it a quick way, or do I need to keep up to date? So, it scares people a little bit, and it's a good thing to have in place, because then you know what you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah.
What counts as CPD for health and social care? So as we said, examples of CPD could be things like attending seminars, observation and shadowing. Why do you think observation and shadowing is so important?
Because part of learning.
Yeah. If you can see someone do something, will that help you?
Of course, yes.
Yes. And some people learn through, looking at people do something. Others learn through books, research, online courses. There's different people learn differently. We're not all the same. So attending and reading around the individual's role and mentoring, things like that will help you gain that knowledge. And I think sometimes for me, I think it's really important that I watch something and then I can do it, because I think I learn better like that. And I think people attend conferences and learn better like that. Academically, I think I learn better studying as well, and doing research, but everyone learns differently, and that will help you develop your skills and your knowledge and keep you up to date. Online CPD training plays an important role in health and social care because it allows training from a convenient location. So, you don't have to travel. You can be at home. And after COVID, a lot of the training courses now are online. People don't have to attend face to face. And that is the element that works well for some people. I mean, sometimes I think for me, I think online is not learning. I believe that I'd rather do it face to face because I feel you learn more face to face. There are people out there that prefer online teaching and online webinars and things. But for me, I think I prefer face to face, old traditional, old school. You can have, oops. For employers, health and social care sector using a care academy like Versity, it makes it easy, you know, CPD training. So within an academy, you can provide that CPD training for your staff members so everyone can attend together. So, you know, CPD is really important in health and social care, keeps you up to date, keeps you having the knowledge, and it increases, like I said, your personal and professional development and your growth. You know, having CPD and engaging in any sort of CPD activity ensures you are compliant with any sort of care skills, and you are providing an excellent patient care service, and you are, you know, you have this positive impact, you know, on your training needs, and you work at sometimes CPD training programs are quite long, so you work at your own pace as well. And organizations and employers, I will tell you, love any sort of training on your CV and any sort of, you know, research or anything that you've done that may be crucial to that kind of environment. So maybe research on dementia or cancer or anything like that. You know, they like that, employers like that. Okay, so that's learning outcome 2. We finished learning outcome 2 now, which these are some of the references that are available for learning outcome 2. And just to give you a summary of what we've done in today's session is to understand professional development in health and social care. We've looked at things like membership of professional bodies, standards and codes of practice, and continuous professional development. We looked at the element of Care Standards Act, why that's so important, domiciliary care regulations, health and safety at work regulations, manual handling operations regulations, management of health and safety at work regulations, codes of practice, national occupational standards. We also looked at the Mental Capacity Act and the importance of that in regards to health and social care. We looked at codes of practice, examples of CPD we looked at in today's session, and we looked at elements of CPD and its importance and benefits of CPD within health and social care profession. And what counts as CPD. So we've looked at elements of that. There's some links there that you can go on to help you identify any sort of, if you need some extra reading. Also, Moodle will have extra books on there for you to have a look at. Additional reading, improving continuing professional developments, which is on Moodle, and National Occupational Standards for Health and Social Care Workers, which is on Moodle as well. Principles for continuing professional development and lifelong learning as health and social care, again on Moodle. All the additional reading, any sort of additional sources are all available on Moodle for you. Your module specification is also available on Moodle, and your assignment brief is also available on Moodle. So just to reiterate with you, we've done learning outcome 1. We've now finished learning outcome 2. The next learning outcome is learning outcome 3 and learning outcome 4. And then we looking at the assignment discussion, which we'll go through. And the assignment brief is available again on Moodle with all the additional reading. Has anyone got any questions before we finish today's session? Has anyone got any questions? Judith, Sama, anyone got any questions?
No.
No? Anyone else got any questions? If you have any questions or anything in regards to the sessions we've done, Learning Outcome 1 and Learning Outcome 2, they're all recorded Forgot to say they're all recorded and they will be on Moodle for you. If you've got any queries, just email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, and then submission of your assignment needs to be done on learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, and the assignment submission is 2 weeks after the completion of the unit. So once we've done the assignment discussion, the final one, you have 2 weeks to complete your assignment, okay? And I'll go through an assignment discussion with you, how to do it, what you need to do, what are the requirements, what are the guidance, and things like that, so you're not struggling. Okay, thank you for attending today's session, and if you've got no questions, we'll finish the session off now.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
I
much.
think I've got some questions.
Okay.
So I actually want to ask, like, how does like the training works, because I've not gotten a proper.
I can't understand what you're saying.
Can the person talking underneath please mute?
About what, sorry?
Yeah, like I want to ask how the module works.
How the Moodle works.
Yeah, before
You
like
need to,
an
you need to
assignment.
go on to Moodle. You'll get a password and registration when you have enrolled onto it, and you can go on to Moodle and get all your resources on Moodle. If you have any problems to getting on Moodle, email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk.
Okay.
Okay. If you have
Okay.
any questions about Moodle or anything getting onto it, email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, and they'll get you straight on, and all your resources are available for you there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any more
thank you.
questions?
Okay, but I just want to ask. I can see that we're on unit 6, and I just joined yesterday. So for previous units, what should I just read them up?
Yeah, read them up. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for attending today's session. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for your
Thank you. Take
time.
care. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.